Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name is Christmassy Hayden.
Oh my gosh, it's Christmas coming up. There's no rest for the wicked, is there?
There's no rest for the wicked.
We're releasing an episode on the week of Christmas. Can you believe it?
We're just so dedicated to the cause, aren't we? Make sure you like and follow and share because we're so dedicated to the cause. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That would be our Christmas present from them guys, wouldn't it? If you want to get as a Christmas present and you don't want to send me a Lamborghini, you could just do a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Share the podcast. That's the big one. That's what I've had recently from a few people messaging saying, I shared the podcast with everyone. I'm like,
love
yes,
that.
Thank you so much. Do that.
That is so nice.
It is, isn't it? It's lovely.
I love that.
Hey,
we get a lot of interactions, don't we? I'm really enjoying it right now.
How would you know? You don't do anything to
You send it to me, okay? I'm really enjoying my PA sending me all of the lovely metages that you guys send in.
Yeah, I quite like sitting here listening to you say how many messages we get when I'm the one replying to all of them.
Oh, big head.
I have got a big head, yeah. Metaphorically or physically?
Both.
Well, if you are messaging us on Instagram is the place to do it, really, because we do pick it up there. And I say we very generously because it is, again, just so you all know, it is me, Dylan, the one with all the hair. That's the one you're talking to, okay? The other guy swans around all week.
I do swan around all week. I do nothing. I click my fingers at you. Dylan, have we got any messages? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bowing down. Pathetic.
Sounds like a scene out of Oliver. Please, sir, can I have some more?
That's basically it.
Can I have some more validation, please, sir? Anyway, we're going off on a whim here, aren't we? How was your week, Hayden? The last week of time before we broke up for Christmas. How did it go?
I had a bloody great week.
Yeah, it's always good.
I really did. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed every single day. There's just something about that Christmassy week where you know the stakes are just a little bit lower. A little bit lower. In maths, it's like, no, don't get your books out. Don't get your books out, guys. What do you mean don't get our books out? Are we going to do maths? Yeah. In a way. We are.
You guys are going to help Mr. Stevens add up his Christmas list. See how much Mr. Stevens is spending this Christmas. Because I haven't done it yet. Get the iPads, kids. I've unblocked Amazon so you can do some ordering for me. I really need you to do this for me, kid.
I didn't do that. Disclaimer, I did do that.
No, you didn't, by the way.
Sorry, I didn't. No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, no, I had a very nice week. Maths was funny. We did some Christmas coordinates. As I was doing it.
Same.
As I was doing it, I was like, oh, what is every year? I can't get away from it. I wasn't even planning to do it this year. And on the day, another teacher was like, I'm going to do some of this. And I was like, oh, go on, print that for me. Print that for me. I'll do some of that.
I had something else planned for our maths lesson one day. It was like, we had like a spare week. I don't know if anyone else follows White Rose. Quite often at the end of a term, it will say consolidation. It basically has a few floating lessons that you might have eaten into if you wanted to cover stuff extra. And we always do a little bit of like, we talked about the spiral curriculum coming back to stuff. We just pick objectives where we're like, do you know what? Another lesson on this would really help them. Really help them.
That's fair enough.
And one lesson we had planned was rounding, because rounding's always, I don't know if anyone teaches in year 4. It's just the classic one. But this year, in the last few weeks, because we do it in starters and stuff, since we actually taught it, my class are really good at it. Just probably the best year 4 class I've ever had at rounding. It's unbelievable. I don't know why they can do it, but I'm like, cool, you can though, every single time. So cool. So we got to the lesson. Honestly, the lesson had already began, and I was like, I should have thought about this, because you can just do this already. All right, kids, get an iPad each, and for 10 minutes, do some TT Rockstars. And in that 10 minutes, I sorted out a whole lesson on Christmas coordinates. I
was really hoping you were going there. That's so funny.
Because, well, do you know what? We'd actually done coordinates relatively recently, and they weren't that great at putting the crosses. You know when they don't put the cross exactly where it needs to be. They don't think about, they just go 6, 7. All right, it's around there. Just put a big X. Like, no, we need to be precise. So we practiced that. But my downfall was I got a sheet that was clearly for like year 6 children or year 7 children. It was still in one quadrant, so it wasn't any negative numbers or anything like that. But it was like 20 by 25, and the instructions were really intricate, and they had to draw a snowman.
Was it a snowman? Yeah, I did the same one.
There you go. Or year 4 did the same one. Yeah. And they had to like draw a line in between each coordinate.
And the hand was really weird.
Yeah, well,
and they couldn't do it.
Well, I don't know. It didn't look like a hand for any of them.
Yeah,
really because the whole idea of drawing them, that was too much. I was like, kids, just do some plotting.
You'll be pleased to know my year 6s even struggled to finish that one. They couldn't even get it done. Yeah. But I always had that every year, right? I don't know if you get this. Every single year, despite me on the board modelling it, right? This is specifically how you do coordinates. It has to join to the last one. Look, do you remember that last coordinate you did? You've got to join it to it. It's like a dot to dot as we go. Always, 10 minutes in, someone comes up to me that I just haven't happened to have not seen when walking around, shows me their sheet, and every single coordinate has been plotted with a straight line up from the bottom. And I'm like, what? And they're like, I don't really get how this works.
Oh, that just looks like a city skyline, darling.
Literally, I'm like, no.
That's not a snowman.
Should I rub it out? No, honestly, no. I'll get you another one.
Honestly, no. It's assembly time.
It's time for assembly. And I said, oh, guys, you didn't finish it. Take it home. Take it home. One of the kids. Take
it home. What did you do today, son? Well, I drew lines up from the X coordinates. What?
One of the kids that was so quick. They said, take it home, guys. Take it home. Finish it up. Bring it in tomorrow. Get a team point if you want. And first hand up. Can I put it in the bin? Always. I'm like, oh.
So much of our lives is spent trying to get around the fact we're about to throw all the kids' work in the bin.
Yeah.
So when a kid breaks that mold and says, can I just throw it in the bin? Honestly, a part of me is like, yes.
Yeah.
Please. I was going to pretend that I was going to keep and look at these and put them in a bin in a different classroom. But now you said that, throw them back in the bin.
That's so true. I had to pretend that I was like a bit gutted about that. Even though I was like, okay.
You over the moon.
You don't want to. I mean, it's if you don't. Yeah, if you don't want it, I suppose. If you don't want to take it home, obviously you can chuck it away. I'm not going to make you chuck it.
You just whip out a massive bin that you've got ready behind you anyway. Open up. Oh, I don't know if you want to. Just throw it in this
With
bin.
last year's work. Yeah.
Not last year's, yesterday's. they see it in the bin. So, is that much where all of our work goes? It's in the maths book. No.
A couple of their books as well. Like.
This is Santa's sack. He's going to come to you on Christmas Eve or your old worksheets.
Oh dear. What have we done? We've lost it already.
We have lost it. It's
already.
just that Christmas cheer.
Well, I'm going to make you lose it again. I had a funny gift this week.
Right.
Oh my God.
A funny gift?
A funny gift. Gift from the kids.
Cool.
So I was in the middle of class. Honestly, it was quite a random time to do it. Like it wasn't like it was straight in the morning. Normally they come in, leave something on your desk.
You're not being ungrateful about a gift, though.
No, not ungrateful.
You can't possibly ever be ungrateful.
Never ungrateful. I've never been ungrateful in my life.
Good.
For anything ever.
No.
And
it was your 68th best teacher mug you've received.
Okay. Extremely grateful for it. Extremely grateful. No, came in, said, please can you open this in the middle of English?
Where did it come from?
An English lesson. What do you mean?
Was it just in their desk,
somebody in my English class who isn't in my actual class.
Right.
So they obviously didn't see me in the morning, and I've been waiting all morning. Yeah. I've got to give this to Miss Stevens.
Yeah.
Come into English. Giggling. Come in with the present, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll open it. And I kept making them wait to do. I was like, I can use this as a tool. I was like, well, I'll do it if you get your books open, write your date and whatever.
You said you'd do it if I got my books open. Yes, and now I'm saying I'll do it if you start doing your work.
Yeah, you complete the task, 5 minutes, and I'll do it. Yeah. Anyway, here I am unwrapping this, thinking, oh, what is it? It's a box. I open it, just a cardboard box, thinking, okay, it's got something inside. Open it up.
That's how boxes tend to work. Oh, there's the box. Something inside the box.
Oh,
yeah, that's called a present. That's called a present, mate.
I didn't expect a box with something in it. You guys are cheeky.
I guess I'll have to, after undoing the wrapping, I'll have to undo the bloody box as well. Yeah, that is how that works.
After you finish your task.
It's like pass the parcel, but with a new thing that they've got to do every time.
They were just fed up. Anyway, I got it out. It was a bald man's comb.
Right.
It literally said bald man's comb on it. The girl that got it for me is dying with laughter at this point, and it's quite literally a comb, but without all of the spikes.
Right, the teeth.
So it's just without all the teeth. Yeah, that's the one. And the class, like they erupted. You know when they find something unbelievably funny, because obviously I played it up. Obviously I was like, what? How have you done this? And I start combing my hair. Doing all that. Yeah,
they didn't.
It's bald man's comb. It worked really well.
You combed your skull.
Yeah, I combed my skull and I did it well, and the kids just died. And those moments are so special.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter how I felt in that moment, honestly, at all. It was all about.
It's not malicious.
It's not malicious. They didn't do malicious because I joke about my baldness. I use it as a tool to just to make them laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
So they knew it was not crossing a line. They knew it was okay to do that because I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it just it just brought me a moment of joy. I could have just been like, that's quite funny, thank you.
And then be like, oh God, no, I can't possibly get 20 seconds off task right now. I'm in the middle of an English lesson.
Yeah, put it down. And the funniest thing is, head teacher came in about 30 seconds later. I said, you will never guess what. You will never. I said, and I was playing it off. And I was like, look what they got me. Look what they got me. And
he said, yeah, I'll see you after school. How dare you?
Yeah, a little clipboard. No, luckily our head teacher's cool. And he joined in with the banter. But that was quite fun.
And made you cry. You took it really seriously from him. It wasn't a joke anymore.
Yeah,
you are a bald man, aren't you?
Yeah, idiot. You look stupid as well.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
Can't even teach. Oh, nothing to do with that, sir.
Yeah, just by the way.
And they hate you. Oh, who's they? All of us. Okay.
Just Oh gosh.
Anyway,
Jokes aside, our head teacher is the least toxic person ever.
He's
He's so cool. Yeah, he's
super chilled
a
out.
great guy.
I mean, you probably get that from the story last time when I said he was walking around with a bin bag on his shoulder, giving me feedback on a lesson. Just didn't care. Anyway, your week? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Christmas in school, isn't it? I'm going to level with you, and I think people who've listened for a long time probably know I'm potentially the least religious person you'll ever meet. Like, as in, like, I just really don't believe in any of it. It's just my beliefs. I don't care if people believe in other stuff. It doesn't bother me at all. But I don't practice it at all. There's nothing about it that appeals to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
However, Christmas, children, choir, Christmas carols, in a church doing a carol service, beautiful. It just something about it every year. It makes me feel like so warm. It just, do you know that feeling where you're just like, this is what it feels like to be a human. I don't know. Maybe I'm just emotionless.
Do you know what, Dylan? I think you'll find that's the warmth of God, and you've misunderstood it this whole time.
Maybe I need to convert. I don't know. But I just, inside of me, I just feel like, oh my, when you've got, like, we had a carol service basically on Tuesday evening, and all the staff go and we do a sing along with 12 Days of Christmas. And each person has a part and have to stand up and shout it, and everyone gets involved. It's really fun. And you know, on paper, you've got to come to a carol service later, blah blah blah, because we're all going. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh god, it's the kind of thing on this podcast. Honestly, we'd be like, no, you don't have to do that. Actually, you know, again, it's part of our directed time. We get a lot of time back as staff. We get like an extra week off because all our insets get put together, and we don't have to do any training and things like that. So it's very much fair from our point of view. We all agree to it. And do you know what? Every time I go, I think, I just love it. Yeah. Seeing kids in a different environment. I think that's what it is. I talked about this before when we take children swimming, and I'm just like, this is amazing. The kids are loving it. They're swimming rather than me stood in front of them and they're filling in a sheet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's the same thing when they go to the choir, and they're stood in front of, honestly, like 300, 400 people singing. Yeah. And it's like, that's a whole nother skill set that I never even tap into as a teacher. And then over there, we've got 5 kids playing the flute.
I know.
The flute, by the way. These are like 9-year-olds, and they've got a flute which is as long as them, holding it up, and they're just playing the flute beautifully, in time, perfectly. Another child's on the piano. There's a bunch of others doing the clarinet, and I'm just like, this is insane.
And it's not the children you think it is going to be.
Yeah,
I think that's what I really like about it. It's like you see children flourish that maybe don't often do that at school. Like maybe in maths and English, that's not really that thing. Maybe PE is not that thing. But I tell you what, they can stand in front of 300 people and play their instrument, or they can sing in a choir. Yeah. Like, I couldn't do that. No. That would take a lot of guts.
Yeah, no.
Like, even right now as an adult, I'm quite happy talking to, like, presenting to kids. I'll talk to staff. If someone said, could you just, I'm really sorry, can you fill in? We need someone in that choir right now. Yeah. I'd be well nervous.
Yeah, horrible. Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day, and I wonder, it really does, as a teacher, sometimes you can forget what it feels like as a kid to be anxious about something. So what I mean is, like, it's very easy. We try not to do it, obviously, as teachers, but when you're in English and you just think, can you just do your handwriting bigger? Or can you not just put in like an adjective? And you're thinking, why can't they just put an adjective in? They're not confident. Or like when they're reading and you're like, can you just sound it out? And they're like, no, they're scared. They're worried. It's easy to forget that when you're so competent with reading as we are as adults, or you're so good at maths because you've just done it forever. And I think, like, putting ourselves in those situations sometimes, it does open up your eyes to other situations. So if I think about how I would feel having to sing but not take the mic, like not having a joke. No, can you actually just sing this properly for me?
Try really hard.
It might not be amazing, but it's okay. Like teacher always says in English, it doesn't have to be amazing. Just give it your best shot. That wouldn't be enough for me to not feel embarrassed. So it just opens your eyes a bit, doesn't it? When you're sat with the kids going, just give it a go. Have a write. Go on, just do a couple of sentences. To us, that might sound like it's nothing. And of course, that's going to help that child. Not really, because I, in a different situation, would still feel horribly embarrassed. Like, I never ever want to really actually sing in front of anyone because I've just got anxiety around it, and it might be completely fine, but in my head it's not good. So therefore I don't want to do it.
That's the point, isn't it? In your head, it's not. It's it's the same with the kids. I think it's a really good point, actually, because like even you saying that, maybe just reflect on over the years where there have been times where I've absolutely just taken for granted a piece of advice like that, and I've said to a kid, "Come on, this is not good enough. Your handwriting needs to be bigger," literally, and then they've ended up in tears. And I'm thinking, oh god, overreacted. What's going on? Like, why are they getting upset about this? It's a simple piece of feedback, but to them, like you said, it's like, well, they're probably horribly anxious about that. You've just made it really awkward for them, and now they feel terrible that they've done this thing because they're always thinking about it. But to me, it's like, it's just one of 20 things that we can all do really well.
Yeah, exactly that. It just opens up your eyes, doesn't it? Definitely. The more experiences you have about stuff like that, I think it makes you a better teacher. Personally, when you open up, no one's perfect. I'm not saying I do that at all, really, but I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, that is true.
That's what we do on this podcast, isn't it? We reflect, we grow, we learn together. We had another nice moment this week, and I'm going to take the lead here, even though it was a thing from both of us. Because hang on, I'll give you a credit. I'm look at him, he's getting itchy. He knows he's done something.
When we
my credit's going.
when it's something you do, we both came up with it. When it's something I do, I came up with it.
Yeah, literally. So we did a times tables competition at our school, and Dylan was texting me the other night, and because there's this one kid in our school who has just like kind of ruined the competition in a funny way, because he just did so much more than anybody else, scored so many more points than literally the entire school combined.
It was TT Rockstars.
Rockstars.
It's minutes on the game, isn't it? Or
yeah, exactly that. And normally, and Dylan did say to me, he was like, "Oh, did you put a limit on?" Because we normally limit these kind of things where it's like you can only contribute an hour a day. Yeah. Otherwise, you do get a kid like this who will just play it for honestly 7 hours a day at home. And I was like, "Nah, do you know what? I'm not doing a limit this time. I know it's probably going to go wrong, but I'm just gonna let some kids shine."
So that's to be fair, that choice of yours was part of this, and that was probably a good choice for this.
Yeah, like I did know that it probably would happen, but I thought I'm just gonna let it happen.
Still did
anyway.
it, the kid.
Yeah, I know. And I'll tell you what, and there was a couple of kids that shone, and they did so much more than everybody else. And I thought, I just want these kids to actually just be put on a pedestal for once. Because you know what? They don't often get put on a pedestal. Everything's super fair. I was like, I just want them to. Yeah. Anyway, so we had this one boy who just scored. I think it was something like, for context, most kids scored like 200, 300 points. Sure. Like average. He scored 18,000 and something. But the leaderboard looked ridiculous. It was so skewed. Yeah. And so Dylan was like, we should get him a crown and a cape. And I was like, yeah. We were chatting when I was ordered. It's literally like £5 cape and crown on Amazon. I was like, I'm gonna crown him king of the times tables in assembly in front of all the kids and give him a trophy and all these things, and he's gonna wear it all day. Yeah. And anyway,
he's the type of kid who we thought would appreciate it.
Yeah, and he loved it. And you weren't there because you had to go out for what was cinema trip.
We had a cinema trip, yeah.
And I was so gutted that you weren't there because I really wanted to hammer this up with you. Yeah. But I thought I'd tell you anyway because you weren't there. So I got into the front of assembly, and as I was crowning him the king of the times table, I said, "Are you okay with this?" Because all the kids were obviously like laughing and cheering, and I was thinking, "Oh, the last thing I want right now is he's."
Imagine if he said no.
Yeah, I know. If he did, I genuinely would have started. I would have been like, king of the times tables. I'll chat to you later. Come and get the prize or whatever. Yeah. But he absolutely lapped it up, and he did not take that crown and cape off for the entire day. He was running around the playground like with his cape blowing in the wind. 50, 60 kids following him the whole time going, king, 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 king. And it was just one of those things I was looking at thinking, he'll remember that forever. Yeah. I really hope he remembers that forever because he's not someone that will necessarily get that award, like the classic awards.
Yeah, the other ones.
In like PE or whatever. You get those few kids that kind of dominate PE and maybe even in maths and English, he's great, but he might not get like certain things. Sure. This is the thing that he's going to look back and be like, do you remember in primary school when they crowned me king of the times table in year 6 and I ran around the playground and the kids followed me all day and were lapping it up?
Because I don't. Someone told me about it. I don't remember a thing.
Yeah, and I think it was Mr. Price who actually thought of that. It's funny because Mr. Stevens was the one doing all the work, but I think it was Mr. Price that actually thought of that idea. So yeah, it was great. Thank you for that idea because it really made it special for him.
It was beautiful.
Shame you weren't there. He didn't care.
And I was gutted. We had a cinema trip. I tell you what, moving on, like sidestepping here a little bit, the local Rotary clubs, we did like an art competition for the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club are like local clubs where people get together and raise funds for like local causes and stuff. Yeah. And so we did an art competition for them and we worked with them quite a bit. Our art lead works with them a lot. And our art lead's obviously in year 4 with me. So they just like bought out a cinema for a private screening of Moana 2.
What?
The whole of year 4 went to see Moana 2. It was empty apart from us in that whole cinema. All of the kids got, do you know those little snack boxes you get? Yeah. Those little fold up things with popcorn and sweets. Like and the drink. They all got a drink.
Oh, man.
And we just went to the cinema.
That's
and it was
mad.
just we went to watch Moana 2. Yeah. And I was just like, there's nothing more to say really other than what an experience some of them kids. Yeah. Some of the kids already seen Moana 2. Some of them were like, "Oh, I'm going to see this." Like, well, you get to see it again. And honestly, you just think about in that like 100 kids went. Think about how many kids just wouldn't get the opportunity to
honestly,
go to a cinema, have some sweets, watch the latest film. Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh, this is so." And the kids were so well behaved. Like they were excited, obviously, but there was just 100 kids, bloom in a block, watching it. The teachers, we sat up the back so we could see everyone. A few of them needed the toilet, obviously. Isn't it weird in primary school when a child needs the toilet? all 4 kids sat directly next to them suddenly need the toilet as well.
Very strange phenomenon.
Strange. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's called like, you know, something to do with bladders just unifying bladder syndrome.
That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. Anyway, that was just beautiful, and that was again just another example of how the timetable towards Christmas goes to pot. But you know what? Yeah, it's stressful. It's tiring.
Yeah.
But I'm probably the happiest I am in the school year in that last week or two, where I feel like I'm getting the most out of the kids in terms of their pure joy.
So you're the happiest. The kids are probably the happiest. Yeah. Doesn't that say something?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just wanted to say this. I don't think teachers are scared of stress. Obviously, we wouldn't keep doing this job. Teaching is stressful. Lots of jobs are stressful. You still choose to do them.
Yeah.
When we complain about stuff, it's the controllable, the stuff that we're just like, we could have control over. And I think as primary school, we're really bad sometimes at being like, no, guys, come on, pull this back. And the reason we're saying pull this back, and I hope everyone gets this when we're listening, the reason we're saying pull X, Y, and Z back is because we completely accept the other part of it's going to be stressful and manic and horrible and over the top and tiring. And we're not expecting to not feel absolutely exhausted at the end of a term. We just want to control the stuff we can, because the stuff like this, when it's like Christmas stress and we're going over the top for the kids and their party's there and it means we're going to have to tidy up the hall after for an hour, we don't care. We never would say, let's not do that.
Yeah.
It's the stuff we can control that doesn't actually affect the children too much. That's the stuff we're passionate about bringing back a bit, just to have a bit of sanity.
It's sitting there at the end of the term after school, completing your history teacher assessments. Knowing that it's never been going to be used for anything, looked at anything used for anyone for any reason. It's stuff like that where you're like, oh, we do have control over this. Like, we could all just say, hey, let's not do it.
Yeah.
And nothing will change for the kids. Nothing will change for the teachers. Nothing will change for our planning. It's just like...
I had a conversation the other day.
not do it.
And the conversation was with someone who's not in SLT or anything like that. You know, just a teacher on the ground. And it was just like, this person was saying, oh, God, I've not even touched that marking yet. I've not even touched, like, saying, like, God, when am I going to do this? Because they're doing 7 other things that I've got to get done. I've not even touched that marking yet. I was like, number one, doesn't that show that that's so far down on your list of stuff to do?
Yeah,
right?
really.
So straight away, like, obviously, like, come on. And number two, I just said to them, what would happen if you didn't mark it? Like, I just said to them straight up, what would happen if you didn't mark it? I'm being realistic here. This is against our policy.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a very helpful question to say sometimes, but I just said, I've just watched you work flat out for 2 hours on your PPA doing 8 different things.
Yeah.
And I know you've got something else left to do after school. What would happen if you didn't mark that geography?
Well, Dylan, what would happen is this. The learning would just suck out of the children's brains, because they obviously, when they're aware it's not been marked, and it would kind of undo the process. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
That's what I thought. Man.
Yeah.
This teacher just said, oh, well, I'd feel horribly anxious thinking I hadn't done the right thing. And I was like, do you know what? That's a legit answer. Because that's the problem right there. You're fighting as a teacher, anxiety around wanting to do a good job and realism of just, why am I pushing myself to this limit? Because it's pointless. There's no win for some people. And I think sometimes we're quite simplistic and we're like, just don't do it. I was like, that's incredibly anxiety inducing for some people. Yeah. And getting over that step is its own battle.
Yeah. Because we're saying, go, just break the rule.
Exactly.
Just break the rule that's really clearly set out for you in this school. It's like, okay, because like you said, we're confident to just be like, oh, this rule's stupid. I don't want to do it. I had the exact same conversation, funny enough, with someone yesterday, where I said, because I was literally doing teacher assessments, which is where that comment came from, and I was only being silly because, you know what, I had time to do it.
Yeah,
same. I was just doing it. I remember doing it. I was just sat there doing it, thinking this is totally.
We got given time to do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But I was thinking this is ultimately utterly pointless, though, realistically. And I was joking around saying, oh, I wish I could start my own school. I said I'd be controversial. The first thing I'd do is no teacher assessments unless they actually had a purpose, like for something. If we could justify them, get rid of them.
You'd get rinsed though, wouldn't you?
yeah, probably would. And the teacher I was talking to said, yeah, I also hate doing them, but it's the rule, so I'll always do them. I will just do them to the minimum standard because I know they're not really that useful, but I will always do them. And it was very much the same vibe of, I don't want to do them. I think they're silly, and I'll do them to the minimum. But the idea of breaking the rules and just being that person who's not doing their job, like how it's been laid out to them, whether you agree with it or not, is much worse to them. Yeah. And I was like, like you said, I can't really argue with it. I was like, okay, fair enough, because you are literally just doing the job you are being paid for. Funnily
enough, it ends up being the worst of both worlds, though.
Yeah.
Because you end honestly, I'll be really real now to anyone listening. My marking is probably 3 out of 10, honestly, because I think to myself, well, I've got to do it. I can't have an empty book because it's part of the policy. So I end up doing it pretty rushed and badly. And like, if you actually picked it up, all the stuff, if you looked at the policy, there's probably bits that I'm missing out, right? But the point is, I'm just like, okay, well, honestly, I just don't think that's really very important. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight and I'm going to just tick the odd thing and fix maybe a capital letter or something.
Yeah.
But realistically, I've done that other process for years of my career and it made no difference to the child's progress whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you know what? Can I be really real now? For the last 2, 3, 4 years, I've been doing it this way. I've still been getting progress with the children.
Yeah,
Nothing's changed.
exactly the same,
So it's like when we actually think about the reason we do stuff like that, it's not actually having that much of an impact. So, you know, for me personally, that choice between feeling really anxious to breaking the rules or pushing yourself to burnout, I'll pick the anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'll try and work on that. And I'll try and make that work rather than push myself to burnout.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But that's us, isn't it, Dylan?
Yeah.
That's us.
And that's why we're here, baby.
That's why we're here. We
push the button.
Rant here rather than getting fired for ranting at school.
Well, very funnily enough, what I'll say now is at the end of this episode, we're going to have a quick Q&A.
Yes.
And it's very linked to what you've just said about getting into trouble. It was a very interesting question. So,
which, of course, I don't know anything about because I don't actually hit Instagram. All jokes aside, Dylan really does do all of it. So,
but stick around because we'll do a Q&A at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe we'll have a little jingle now.
Yeah.
You've set up a game for me.
I've got a game. I've even got a rile you up section for later on because I love getting you angry. So yeah, let's do it.
Hayden got really excited about the prospect of just annoying me massively. So we're going to do the write-up now because, again, the main bulk of the episode, you clicked on the title, etc., is a teacher this or that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've not seen any of it. But let's do the write-up now. We'll do the this or that. Yeah. And then we'll finish off with those listener questions at the end. So stick around if you send us a question.
Sounds like a good, well-structured plan.
Absolutely. We know what we're doing.
Of time into. Okay, so again, on forums and things.
We need to get a write-up Dylan jingle, don't we?
Yeah, we really do.
We really do.
Maybe someone can make it for us.
Oh, do you know what? Imagine. Can you imagine? As if you don't have enough workload, guys. Can someone over the Christmas just whack up a little 20-second jingle, please, about me being rather. Thank you.
We'll play for this section. And we'll play it every time. So anyway, so someone says they run a club at their school, really successful club. So literally 30% of the kids in that school come to this after school club.
Is this Donald Trump?
It is Donald Trump.
It was the best club. It was the best club. No one else goes to any other clubs. They go to this club. They say, Donald, God, you're a top guy. You're a top guy, Donald. This club is the best. 30% of people come to this club. Oh my God. No one goes to any other clubs. I'm the club man.
You're going a little bit Irish there. Just a little bit. I'm the top guy. I'm the top guy. I'm Donald.
Oh my God.
That was good. Good impression.
Thank
well
you.
done. Keep working on it.
Nice one. Keep trying.
So this person runs a very successful club. They're the only teacher that runs a club and they don't get paid for it. They're obviously just volunteering to do a club because they want to. However, from spring term, the school are going to start charging for this club. Don't know why, but they didn't before.
It's not what I think is going to happen.
And when I queried that, they said, "Oh, well, are you charging so I can get paid for it, basically?"
Right.
Because I'm the only person doing this voluntary club.
Right.
Okay. What do you think the response was?
No.
Ready? I was told, no, this falls in your directed hours.
No.
And they've said, well, no, they work full time, have weekly staff meetings, they do parents' evening, etc., interventions, team meetings after school, and literally the only member of staff that even runs an additional thing outside of school, a club. And they've been told, no, it's part of your directed.
No, they're not paying.
They're not paying them. They're going to start charging the kids for this club because they've seen how successful it is. They're expecting the staff member to carry on doing it, almost to the point of disgusted that they asked that they might be getting some of the money for it, and told, no, it's your directed time.
So what? They're just skimming some money off parents for a teacher's goodwill.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
This teacher said, I'm happy to push back. I just want to make sure that I'm in my right.
Push back. You don't have to do the bloody club. No one else is doing the club. That's insane. I've never been so angry at one of these. That's made me so angry. The school are disgusting.
I know.
That is the ultimate undermining of your professional staff.
Yeah.
Going above and beyond. This is why teachers can't be bothered to go above and beyond anymore. Honest to God. That is disgusting. This is don't charge. Just keep it going.
I know.
Like no one's even saying, oh, you should be making money off this. No one mentioned money until the school wanted to skim off money for your extra hard. That's disgusting.
I know.
Honestly, that is like a soup kitchen starting to charge for the soup. And then the volunteers still volunteering. It's no, that's a business now. You can't not pay the people doing it anymore.
Yep.
It's now a business. Are you insane? I can't believe that.
I know. It doesn't feel real, does it?
I can't believe that's real.
But you know what? I can believe that's real because I feel like that. I've seen that happen before, but it's absolutely mental.
I can't believe that.
Can I read you a comment on that thread? Can I just read you a comment?
Yeah,
I should see because it might spark you some more.
Okay.
Someone said, I run a club every week as part of my contract.
Okay.
And I'm happy to do it. This was their response to this.
Fine.
In fact, I asked if I could run a second one on another afternoon after school, starting in January. To be honest, I'm amazed how many teachers think anything beyond delivering lessons 9 to 3 to be a massive imposition.
Honestly, get in the bin. Honestly, who are you? If you're listening to this and you comment or think that, get in touch with me and let's talk, genuinely, because I want to get into your head. Are you insane? Like, do you know what? This is exactly what I meant when we did all those posts before, honestly, a few weeks ago, which were like, do you know we did that teacher martyr post, which was very specifically about not just people who go over the top, but people who then make it their own identity and then shame other people for doing it, right? And the amount of people who goes, I don't think these people exist. I think people just work hard. I don't think you're just being about teachers. Let's not have teachers going against teachers. No, let's have teachers going against teachers when they're the teachers we're talking about. Get over yourself. If you want to do a club, do a club. Amazing. You're doing such a good thing for the kids. Aren't you? You want to do 2 clubs? Fantastic. You want to sit online and go, I do 2 clubs and I quite think the people who don't do it are quite what they expect from the 9 to 3. Get in the bin. Oh my Honestly, God. What are you doing? And don't pretend it's just everyone else is just doing a lovely jolly 9 to 3.
Yeah.
Are you pathetic? It's pathetic. Yep. What do you think teachers are doing? Prepping their lessons in the morning, planning stuff outside of school, marking after school, going to meetings. Get in the bin. Stop, Jerry. I can't even think of the word when you just on your soapbox. I do 2 clubs, and quite frankly, that's the saying that gets me. Quite frankly, I don't understand why all of you sorry people down there aren't doing a club. Piss off!
Wow.
Honestly, piss off.
This section has worked.
I want to make it really clear.
Go on.
If you're listening to this and you do clubs and the kids have an amazing time, that is so good. Genuinely, I love doing a club.
Yeah.
When it's like your passion and the kids are happy, like it's amazing. It's the next step that I'm moaning about here. Don't shame other people.
Yeah, it's the attitude. Isn't it? It's not
don't do that.
It's not the act of the club. I think you made that very clear, to be honest with you, in your point. That was good.
Good, because I can't remember a word I said. I was so
you
blinded
went into
by range.
Yeah, you were by range.
Okay, well, range
by rage.
Blinded by B&M and the range.
Can I do another one?
Yeah, go on.
I've got a few, but I'll only do one more.
Oh my God, I've never been. I'm actually like, I feel like I'm shaking a bit.
Yeah.
It's annoyed me so much. I can't believe the cheek.
Unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unreal. I'll tell you what, though, I get the feeling that teacher had already knew what the right thing was to do.
Yeah.
Just
but you want that bit of backup.
Yeah. Bit of backup. Maybe people getting annoyed.
Maybe the link to this podcast.
Maybe the link to this podcast.
With the timestamp.
Yeah.
I think I called them pathetic. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think you might have done. Anyway, here's another one. This one's a bit more serious, actually. Just a bit more of like is this allowed or not? Someone said they've been pulled up by another member of staff because they didn't provide planning for the TA who's doing their PPA. So at their school, this person's PPA is obviously covered by a TA.
Sure.
And it's one of those classic examples of who's planning it then, because the TA is not getting paid anything to do it.
No.
And it's very much in the teacher's, like the unions say you should not be providing stuff. And that's what they've said. Am I in the wrong, basically? My union has said that I shouldn't be expected to plan for my PPA, but I appreciate that my TA isn't expected to plan either, looking for reassurance and what to do. This
is the realistic side of this advice forums and these like union guidelines and things like that. When in real life, it's not as clear cut, is it? To just say, well, the guidance is X, so that's why.
Yeah.
I would say in that situation, especially like, you get on your TA, you obviously don't think whatsoever that they should be getting anything ready for the PPA, but neither should you. That same like care and looking out for your TA and their time and really valuing their time that you have, other people need to have for you.
Yeah,
they need to have the same kind of no, that's awful. Again, that's a teacher martyr moaning. That is a teacher martyr. The other teacher, the other teacher who's making that person feel bad.
They went to the head teacher and moaned about them. They complained.
Yeah.
They're not providing
the teacher moaning.
The other teacher went and complained about this teacher who's posting, saying they're not providing proper adequate planning for the TA.
That's a teacher martyr right there again. That is a teacher. When someone says to me, "Don't go after teachers. We should all be in it together." Well, they're going after the other teacher already, so I'm going to go after them and say that that's pathetic. Because the only response from any teacher in that situation should be, that's not right, let's fix this. Not shaming someone for not just accepting that their workers' rights are being undermined. We don't just accept that. That's just called solidarity. So if you're going to go against teachers, I'm going to go against you. I'm not going to just blanketly not go against the teacher. So the person moaning that the other teacher is not leaving planning for their PPA, they shouldn't be leaving planning for their PPA. Do you know what? In the real world, as teachers, sometimes you do stuff that go against the guidelines for a bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, obviously, okay, I'll sort it out for a few weeks, but let's get a solution in place.
I agree.
Let's build something in. Don't just not leave your TA anything. That's annoying for the TA, and you wouldn't do that. And as a teacher, you can probably come up with something 3 times as quick as a TA could. So just do it yourself for a bit, but in the meantime, something should be being fixed.
I agree.
Push for it, and then eventually, if it's still not happening, you go to your TA and you say, look, neither of us are getting any time to do any prep here. So what we're going to do this in PPA. It's something that doesn't need any prep time whatsoever. It might not be the best for the children, but you know what? If it isn't the best for the children, hopefully someone will come along and sort something soon.
Yeah.
Because if that's not down to us.
I mean, even the step before that would hopefully be, let's tell SLT.
Yeah, completely.
That this is the problem and see if they can actually have a solution.
That's
for
what
us.
I mean.
I mean, you're kind of assuming
where nothing happens.
Yeah.
Again, that head teacher, honestly, if they were a good head teacher, their reply to someone saying, this teacher's not prepping stuff for PPA, a good head teacher would say, oh gosh, no, they shouldn't be. What's going on?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. We'll sort that.
Yeah.
And that teacher would feel a bit silly at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, not as riled up as the first one.
No, that's why I'm a bit more serious.
But that's real life to me. That I think you see loads of schools where teachers leave stuff for PPA, and you know what? Sometimes it's not because someone's being malicious. It's just like we just don't have the feet on the ground. We just don't have the people to do that. But we have to sort it because that's a fundamental right as a teacher to get that time out. And
like we've said before, I mean, I think every school I've worked in has honestly fallen into this trap, regardless of intentions. Not even having 10% PPA. It's always been like 8%, 9%, where it's just not actually quite worked out properly. And it's like, an afternoon that'll do, or a morning that'll do. It's like, well, it's actually not 10% of my time, and 20 minutes a week does add up when it comes to planning.
It's funny, isn't it? Because 20 minutes a week for teachers not getting their PPA is 20 minutes away is not much, is it? A kid being 5 minutes late a day would lose your mind, wouldn't you? No. I got letters home to parents saying every minute counts. 5 minutes late for maths every day. Every minute counts. You're not getting 20 minutes a week PPA though, and that's fine because not every minute counts for you. Every minute counts for someone else. No, it's just, as a professional, there are certain requirements that you should meet, and it can't always happen, but it should be on the way to happening. I think we defined a non-toxic school as that. Every school is going to have stuff you could, in isolation, say, oh, well, that's toxic.
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course, but it's not a toxic school if it's implementing things or on the way to solving it. That's what defines.
I think you said last week, didn't you? You were like, we should maybe be careful with how often we use that word toxic. It's kind of getting banded around, and I agree. I think I do it. I think I use the word toxic really quickly, and actually, some things it's just a mistake. Honestly, it's just a system that's just not really been updated in a while. Hasn't been looked at properly. As a flaw in the system, something's not been looked at. It's not necessarily toxic. You're absolutely right. We've talked about what real toxic schools are. Yeah. Should we play a game?
Go on then. You've got a game ready for me. I love it when you get a game ready for me. One, because I can feel like I'm not in charge for a bit.
Relax, not in charge.
And two, because it's nice to see you doing something for the podcast every now and then.
Well, that's it. I'm not playing the game.
This is, by the way, I hope this is a good game because this has got the top billing. This is what our title's all about. People have clicked for teacher this or that.
Teacher this or that. It's all about preferences. Okay. It's quite light-hearted, but I'm hoping it will spark a few opinions and discussions from it. Okay. So
opinions and discussions on this podcast
from Dylan, who never shuts up. Here we go.
Can I just very quickly? For double funny here because I'm interrupting you again
immediately.
And I'm talking over you, but one of the Q&As that we got was from Emily, came on the podcast, Emily Weston. Her question was just, in 2025, will you let Hayden speak a bit more on the podcast?
And what's the answer in unison? 1, 2, 3.
No. I replied going, ha, ha, ha. And then in brackets, no.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. Thanks, Emily, for looking out for me. Appreciate that.
Anyway, shush.
Anyway, sorry, me or you?
Game, please.
Just
game.
you. Ready? Right. So this or that. So
can you say the game so I can say it after?
Yeah, ready? So the game is this or that.
Game is this or that.
Teacher edition.
The game's this or that.
Teacher edition. Teacher edition.
I'm stopping. Go on.
So first one, nice good one to get you started with. You just have to pick one, justify it. That's it. Tables in your room in rows or in table groups.
Table groups.
Why?
For most of the time.
Oh,
yeah. I'm one of them teachers where my job share probably gets really annoyed at me. I will just on a whim be like, right, we're changing up because right in this very second, table groups are not working for you. So we're just going to do rows at the front, and I'll have a hybrid. Honestly, my favorite system is a hybrid.
Yeah,
I'll have a couple of rows maybe towards the front, and then maybe some groups around the back. But it depends what we're doing. Honestly, most of the time, groups are probably best because a bit of collaboration and stuff like that. The problem with rows is the amount of kids, honestly, less than half the children are facing the board. like literally because of just the way groups are.
Would you say that is the major benefit of
Yeah.
rows? Is literally the direction they're facing?
Yeah, exactly that. And you can still do really good partner work in rows, I think. It's just like you're losing maybe the group work. And I'm just like, okay, in my lessons, honestly, like 90% of the time I want them to work with someone else. It's with a partner.
Yeah.
And the good thing about groups is you can work with different people. I get that. I understand it. But most of the time, rows are probably more beneficial in terms of attention, looking forward. It's got like a Victorian... or very Victorian old school, isn't it? It's like, well, yeah, but also it doesn't. That doesn't automatically mean it never works.
When I started teaching, there was no way you would have caught me doing rows because I was very much like, no, that's old school. That's not how you do it. That's not collaborative. That's so old. Yeah. But honestly, my class has been rows all year so far this year. Yeah. I just find the behaviours a bit better. You have on some average
tables, don't you?
Not at the moment. I'm a bit like you. I will just in the year just get a bit like fed up with it, and I'll just change it around.
Yeah.
But at the moment, so far this year, we've been rows all year.
Yeah.
Since September. But I just find the behaviours better. I feel like when they're in tables and they're facing each other, they're so much more likely.
That's it.
To just catch each other's eye and just start messing around.
You're setting them up to fail almost in terms of, especially some children with behaviour and things like that.
Yep.
You can just cut that out. And I know you get benefits from the learning. Listen, I understand that. But I think anyone who comes along and says one is absolutely wrong always, I think they're being disingenuous and haven't actually taught very much because it's just not true, is it? They all have benefits.
Yeah.
I like a hybrid system.
Pros and cons. Hybrids probably is the best.
Yeah.
In all honesty. Next one, probably a bit quicker. Times tables practice on iPads or on paper?
I mean, I can't pick one.
You got to pick one.
If I could only ever do one, always.
Yeah, let's make a new rule for this exact one.
Okay, all right.
Which one would you pick?
Paper.
Yeah?
Yeah, paper. I think it's really, really, really at this modern day. Again, it's like the whole thing. It's old school, isn't it? It's like, yeah, but it used to bloody work sometimes, didn't it? I've seen children on an iPad get distracted. It's bright. They want to go, like, if they're on TT Rockstars. I think TT Rockstars is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
But I've seen some children be like, oh, I'll just go to the shop quickly. I'll just get myself a new hat for my avatar. I'm like, guys, you've got 10 minutes on the iPads. You need to do some times table practice. I think the algorithm on iPads is really good. That when you get that built in and it's giving the children exactly what they need. Yeah. It's really tailoring it to them. It's differentiated straight away. I think that's fantastic. But you're making me pick one. And I think for learning times tables in order, wrote in my lesson, do you know what? Get a sheet of 60 questions.
That's really interesting. I didn't expect
and just write.
That's so funny.
You making me. I would never ever pick one. I would always do both. I think they're both really really good.
But if you
We're talking here 9 out of 10 and 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay, because I would always do a mixture. And like I explained why I think the iPads are really good. They're really engaging as well, the iPads. Yeah. Like the kids love hit the button. Anyone out there who is teaching and still hasn't found hit the button, the most simple game for times tables you will ever see. The children love it. I give them the choice of what they want to do sometimes on the iPad. Like 3 or 4 choices. They all go to hit the button.
That's so fun, isn't it?
Yeah. All the things they can do. It's so basic as well.
Yeah. It's competitive. It's quick.
Yeah, exactly.
They can beat their partner.
So do you know what? I really hate picking one, but I'm going to fight the corner right now because I'm in my paper zone of since September. We've been doing every single day a sheet of times table practice. And I've seen the kids make really good progress. So do you know what? Sometimes they've just got to write stuff down over and over and over again. Don't be scared of rote learning. It has a bad rep, I think, with the whole mastery approach and the modern curriculum. I'm like, oh gosh, no, you always need to understand the conceptual of everything. That's really important. But you just need to know your times tables.
Yeah, if you do want them to memorize something.
Exactly. It's memorization at that point.
That's really interesting. I really thought you were going to pick iPads. Yeah, just for the algorithm and stuff. I would pick iPads.
I absolutely would never pick one or the other. I'm doing it for this game. I think the algorithm is fantastic.
It's funny because you fully justify why iPads are better in every way and then pick paper. So that was interesting to listen to. You absolutely sold me on iPads.
Very quickly, I'm going to say I am lower down in the school and we focus on one times table at a time and we explicitly teach it. So my whole class will be doing 7s at some point.
Fair enough.
At that point, I'm just like, cool. I'm just going to give you sheets, practice it, learn it, division facts. I want to know at this point you're all just practicing this. And then you can go on the iPads and have the algorithm and go back and dip.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think, like you said, you always said from the beginning, a hybrid approach is better anyway. So hybrid approach for tables and for rows. Hybrid approach for iPads or paper. Let's find out this one. Ready? Next one. Ooh, wonder what it's going to be.
A hybrid approach or picking one thing.
Writing learning objectives or not?
No. Okay, that's good.
Oh, wow. That was a quick answer.
Yeah, don't bother. Waste time. Make the learning objective clear. The children should understand what they're doing. But not always at the start of the lesson either. I'm a strong believer of that. There are some points when you're teaching something where you think, right, from the start of this lesson, I really want the kids to know what the overarching theme for this is. Let's lay it out really clearly for them. Sometimes that confuses the kids more, especially if it's brand new learning. You know, if the children walk into lesson and see on the board to learn what perimeter is in a rectilinear shape. Okay, honestly, who's that helping that they're writing that? They're like copying like letter for letter. Takes them ages to write it because they've never seen rectilinear before.
You just wasted 3 minutes
They know
already.
what perimeter is. Do you know what would be much better? Just get in, put a shape on the board and say, how long's this side? Or put a shape in front of them and say, how do you measure this shape? Just something as open-ended as that. How would you measure this shape? And some of them might be counting squares. That's area, fine. Some of them might be getting a ruler and just going across the shape, like not even the sides. Just have an open-ended question about how do you measure the shape? Well, we're going to measure it this way. We're going to measure around the outside of the shape. And then eventually, halfway through the lesson, you could say, did you notice something about all the shapes that we're looking at today? What if I gave you this shape? How is this shape different? Oh, it's got a curved side. Oh, that's interesting. And all the shapes we've looked at have straight sides. Cool. Okay, brilliant. What about this shape? Oh yeah, it's all jagged. It's got spikes in it. The angles are all weird inside. What's been the same about all the shapes we've looked at? They've all got right angles. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And we could make this shape. Couldn't we? Cut it up and it would be rectangles. And we could make this shape out of smaller rectangles. You can build up your learning and understand what a rectilinear shape is. And at the end go, we call these shapes rectilinear shapes. Much more powerful than them walking in and going, what's rectilinear? And you're like, well, we'll come on to that in a minute. I'm like, oh, why am I writing it down now? I want to know what rectilinear is. Okay, guys, rectilinear, it's like a shape like made of rectangles. How can I make a shape? Okay, oh my God, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
So my point here is a hybrid approach. No, I'm joking. I would absolutely bin them because I think if through your lesson the objective isn't clear, it's not a very good lesson.
Yeah.
I think
regardless of whether you wrote
exactly that. Yeah, I think. Or how the kids know what they're learning. Because they're in my lesson learning it.
For an hour.
Are you insane? I think it's, I don't know what happened. I don't know if older teachers could say this came in like 10, 15 years ago and it was a big thing. You get some teachers who are printing off and cutting out learning objectives and sticking them in the book the day before the lesson, ready for the next lesson. Honestly, don't do it. If I had a choice, I would just never do it because I think... Guys, we just talked about how 5 minutes a day is very important. We're spending 5 minutes a day writing the date, writing the learning objective, and me going, have you underlined it? I don't care. I don't care whatsoever if you've underlined it or not. But guys, someone's going to look at the books and be annoyed if they're not underlined. So have you all underlined? Oh my God.
Wasting time. When we were at school, I feel like it was titles.
Maybe.
Well, I'm sure I used to write titles. It wasn't necessarily like LO or LI or whatever. It was literally just a title, and it was essentially the same thing. But I think they're equally pointless. Yeah. So I'm sure there's some place for like in English maybe a title.
I think when you pick up a book and you flick through, I tell you what, it's very clear what the children are learning. The progression's really clear. Like as if I'm a maths student picking up a maths book, I could very quickly go, oh cool, well they're starting on place value there. Yeah. But I could also just look at what they've done.
Yeah. Oh, look at that planning. Honestly, even just look
there's loads of ways to get around that.
Just ask the teacher.
But it looks nice. Okay, it might look a bit nicer. It genuinely. You know what? It does look nicer when it's nicely underlined and you got a date and a
agree.
Whatever.
No. Fair enough. I think I'm with you on that one. Pointless waste of time. Okay, so think about Christmas, I suppose, this one, but generally other parts of the year where gifts might be given, right? Okay. Very specifically, teachers being allowed to give gifts to children or not, like end of year, Christmas gifts. I know teachers that do they'll get everyone a pair of gloves.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Are you saying, would I ban it or not, basically?
Do you just agree with the concept of teachers giving gifts to children?
I think that's fine. Okay, and I could caveat it with I don't do that. So this is what I wanted to ask very specifically.
Yeah, go on.
You're asking.
Say what you're thinking.
The point being, I don't do that anymore. I used to do it,
and
I don't do it now. But I don't think it should be draconian, top down. You cannot do this. I think it's lovely. I think it's nice. I mean, and if I was an NQT and being told you cannot do this, I'd be a bit gutted. I want to give. At that point in my career, where for whatever reason I really wanted to do that for the children. I still love the children just as much now, but I've just realised that it's just something I don't do for various reasons. I just think sometimes it's a waste of time. Some kids absolutely love it and then they forget about it, a day later. I can give them that sense of love and warmth and affection without a thing being given to them.
Sure.
So I still feel like I'm filling that role, but I think some people want to do it, and I would hate to say no. I think for those very specific times like Christmas, end of year, if you want to give a little token something, crack on. Yeah. Do it. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for it. You can choose to, you can choose not to. Normalize not doing it is what I would say.
Yeah, sure.
A few people, again, Q&A, one of the Q&A, we're covering it now. One of the questions was, I've done it for a long time. I feel like I'm just wasting my money sometimes. Is it okay to not do it? And I said very quickly, of course it is.
Yeah.
You do it if you want to do it.
Yeah, it's up to you.
And don't, like, in the best way. You know, the fact you're even worried and thinking about it shows you're a good teacher, doesn't it, though?
Yeah,
the fact you're there,
yeah.
like, really, oh, gosh, I really want to get them something. That shows you care already. And do you know what? You can show you care a million ways.
I can just see next week on the Rile Up Dylan section, someone saying, I've been giving gifts to my kids for years. The school are going to start charging for it now. I just want to know if... Because acceptable. You could just see it, can't you? Like the club
£2
situation.
a keyring.
£2 a keyring, and I asked
should I be getting
I
any
asked
of
if
that?
I'll get that money, and they said no. It's part of your directed time to give them gifts.
Mate, don't, because I'm actually
leaving
still.
it.
I've
So
got residual hate.
Yeah, literally. Let's move on. Otherwise, so just to remind you that this game as well is like just your preferences. So that one was just very much what's your preference, giving gifts or not. At the moment, your preference is just not doing it. That's fine. So the next one, your preference, how you think it should be done. Do you think teachers should have involvement in policing kids' lunchboxes? Because you might have like healthy eating policies at schools. A lot of schools do. So do teachers get involved? Do they look in them? Do you make comments on kids' food?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
completely withdrawn? What's your
one.
preference? What do you do?
Yeah. So as a classroom teacher, I don't think you should get involved from the off. I don't necessarily think you should see something, because I'm not on dinner hall duty. I feel like my anxiety here is I know a lot of children have awkward relationships with food. And I hate the idea of even 1 out of 100 times perpetuating that bad relationship with food. Maybe an extremely fussy eater. I might go around to 10 kids in a row and say, no, finish your sandwich. It's fine. No, you got to eat that before you eat that. That's fine. And there'll be one kid who actually, do you know what? Them eating something is better than them eating nothing.
Yeah.
And me coming around and in front of their friends saying, no, you've got to eat that first, please, before you eat that. You can't eat your crisps now. You've got this in your lunchbox. You've got to eat that first. Or no, you shouldn't have that chocolate bar in there. That's not healthy. That's not healthy eating. That kid was only going to eat the chocolate bar. And it, whether you like it or not, it's better for the kid to have eaten a chocolate bar than absolutely nothing. And there might be some intricate background stories there. And again, I think lunch staff and people should be really aware of that and hyper aware of that. And it should be something that's applied. As the teacher walking in, you might not have that understanding. And the idea of accidentally doing that really gives me, oh God, I don't want to do that at all. In general, I think it's good to have a healthy eating policy. Because, you know, in the same way, we are literally their guardians in school. It's another level. It's an education. So I think that's absolutely fine to have rules around lunchbox. Like, I can't have 7 packets of crisps in my lunch. No, you can't. Okay, you can't. It's got to be a certain level. Okay, there's some stuff allowed, other stuff not allowed. Fine. In terms of policing stuff, for the majority of kids, you can tell them to do something like eat that before they eat this and do that in the right order. Parents will probably appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just beware. Set rules, enforce rules. Just have in the back of your head that I'm someone who had a weird relationship with food when I was younger as well.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling really anxious around certain stuff, especially like I'd have anxiety around the dinner lady walking past me when I was eating. Yeah, that's not nice. Like, it's just not nice.
And if they commented on something, you would have been
and eat your broccoli first. And I remember crying to my mum after because I wasn't allowed to have my sausage roll and beans. Yeah, because I hadn't eaten all my broccoli, and I was just like, oh, do you know what? Who cares? I didn't eat anything then. Yeah, and it's better for me to have the sausage roll and the beans, wasn't it? Yeah, sure. No, I think that's really good. I'm quite anti-policing of lunchboxes. I think I just always think about those kids. Honestly, probably most kids who absolutely have zero involvement in packing their lunch. Sure. And I feel like that specific bit of policing where it's like you're judging what they've got in their lunchbox and saying, "Oh, come on, that's not very healthy." So do you not think we should police the parents though in the first place? Parents, I think that's different. I think you can have conversations. So you mean policing? Should there be rules on lunchbox though? I think there should be rules. Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think you should be able to have dialogues with parents. I'm just very specifically in this context talking about like, do we police the kids in front of them? Who didn't pack their lunch? Yeah, it's by having. Do we comment on kids' lunchboxes to the kids? And I think 99% of the time, absolutely not. Yeah. It's just not our place. I don't know what's going on at home. Why? It's like absence. We talk about absence, don't we? Sometimes it's like, do I really need to make a kid feel bad because their parent didn't get them to school on time? Sure. Seriously, they're 8. Yeah. Like they're not really that responsible yet. Yeah. But anyway, that's a different conversation. Yeah. So next one. This is very much a preference now. Okay. Phoning a parent. Yeah. Or arranging a meeting for the parent to come in. Phoning a parent. Oh, really? At this point in my career, yeah. And the joke, I still get anxious about it. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's still like, oh God, I got to phone a parent. So why does that one override the other one then? Because there's no time. Yeah. Have you tried to arrange a meeting? Honestly, it's like, well, I can't do this day that day, and they're like, well, I can do this that. A phone call I can just grab at honestly at any point during the day. It's going to take like 10 minutes. Arranging a meeting, they've got to come into school. They've got to find a time. They've got to find a room. I think a phone call's quicker. I think as a professional now, I like a phone call because you're still getting across the dialogue. Yeah. If it was an email or arrange a meeting, I'd pick arrange a meeting.
Oh, really? That's so
Yeah, because
interesting.
my point again, I think you should still take minutes and stuff. I get why people like emails.
Yeah.
But there is just something, if it's a serious thing, there's something about your intonation in your voice and your tone and how something comes across, which is way more powerful. There's certain things where an email, I'd probably follow up with an email always. I'd say, hiya, thanks for meeting today. Just to confirm, we went over X, Y, Z. It's all in writing. It's all here. Do you agree? Is this okay? We're going to move forward with this. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really good practice.
That's cool.
But I think alone an email can be misinterpreted sometimes, especially if you've got to say something awkward. If you want to talk to a parent like their child's being rude, you can tell a parent that into their face in a much more courteous way.
Yeah.
In an email, it can come across a bit
True.
like,
You
your child's
literally-
rude, not bothering.
Yeah. You can't get the point across in an email without being rude yourself, almost, without interpreting it the wrong way.
And what I'd say to new teachers is, throw yourself into those situations. It's not nice.
Yeah.
But the earlier you do it, the quicker you get over it, the quicker you can do it better in the future. So if you're there anxious thinking, oh God, I don't want to do this. I mean, maybe I'll ignore it, or I'll just send an email. Bite the bullet. Sit down with parents, phone them, just do it. After the 10th time, you'll still have a niggle, but it won't be there as nearly as much.
Yeah. Love that. Good advice. I've got a couple more.
Yep. Let's do quick fire, shall we? Or are they?
I think it depends. Up to you. It's up to you how you take it. End of year 6 show or normal lessons?
End of year 6 show. Absolutely. Absolutely. What other chance do we get to do proper drama and stuff like that? And do you know what I love about the show? Side note, obviously all the drama and stuff and the kids being on stage who, again, don't necessarily get the chance to do that very often in school. The great thing about a show is there is always a role for everyone. That's why I like the show. Yeah. If someone's not very confident, really doesn't want to go on the stage, they can be a hand on the side of the stage.
Or do the lighting.
Do the props, do the lighting, do the music. So I think that's a really a bonding experience. I think kids get so much out of it. Who cares if they've not got a lesson? That is their lesson. They're learning to cooperate. They're learning to perform. They're learning to do the lights. They're learning a computer program. Yeah. They're learning how to interact with parents when they come through on the door and stuff like that.
Playing devil's advocate then, there's a big argument for when that happens that it's heavily implying to the kids that once the SATs are over, because that's normally what happens, it's after SATs. Once the SATs are over, maths and English don't matter anymore. They only really mattered for the test. Yeah. You're now not going to really be doing it for like a month, and then you're going to have a month off, a month and a half off, then you're going to go to secondary school and maybe have like forgotten quite a lot. So that's like the counter argument.
Yeah. 2 things. Number 1, cool, so they just don't ever do it then. Like, what I'm saying is, okay, if they think that, it's still better that they get the chance to do something different. Well, the other option is just to carry on doing English and maths and do nothing enriching whatsoever. The second more important point to me there is that's a problem pre-SATs. That's not a problem post-SATs. Yeah. If you're looking at it and going, oh, it does just make the SATs look pointless, doesn't it, after? Because they're doing a show now and obviously everything else feels rubbish if they're doing a show. Why aren't you doing drama earlier then? Incorporate drama earlier so it's just part of the curriculum.
Cultural.
It's a before problem. It's the answer isn't to look at it and go, well, we can't do it then. We can't do it then because once SATs over, God, they're going to go crazy. Just implement stuff like that's more wide and enriching earlier.
True. Do you know what I think the answer is here? Hybrid approach. Genuinely. I actually think we should do maths and English.
Yeah, sorry.
Six.
I didn't know you were saying whether we should do maths or English or not. I think you should carry on. Yeah. I'm talking specifically about they become less important. Yeah. I think the way to approach that is normalize doing other stuff like shows throughout school.
I'm going to make this question hard, and you can't ramble on this one. You just have to make a decision.
I can't ramble.
You can't ramble. You can't actually. You've kind of done your justification.
You can't just keep bloody talking.
No, because you've done your justification. I think we'd all get it. We know what you think. Right. So now the option is that last month of term 6, right? And you either spend the entire month exclusively doing the show or exclusively doing maths. So if you do the show, there are no maths and English lessons, genuinely.
Are there other lessons like science, geography?
The odd one, like you might do the odd RE, the odd science lesson every now and then, but 90% of your lessons are taken up with this show and there's no time for maths and English.
Yeah, do the show.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm living. That's it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Show.
All right, 2 more.
It's weird. We had a couple more for the last few.
Yeah, I thought of another one. Music whilst the children are working. Like just gentle music, not talking like top hits. Just gentle music in the background or silence. What's your preference?
Silence.
Yeah.
Silence.
Cool. I like that. Do you want to explain?
I just wanted some silence. So I was just asking for silence.
Well done. Sorry, you didn't answer the question. You didn't hear the question.
Yeah, silence.
It's just telling me what to do.
What was the question?
You're an idiot. Right. Last one then. We'll have to do loads of admin, right?
Silence.
Would you prefer a bit of admin heavy time before school, or do you like a bit of admin heavy time after school? Where do you?
Yeah, before school. Before school.
So getting early.
I would prefer to do stuff early. Yeah. If I'm thinking to myself, okay, oh gosh, it just happens to be that I have like an hour and a half of work to do, which is nothing to do with my delivering of teaching. I would rather do it early. Now, do I always manage to get up early and get in? Obviously not. But I much rather... I like getting into school like 7 sometimes.
Yeah.
I prefer to get into school at 7 and leave at 4, half 4.
Yeah.
More like half 4 realistically. Than to get into work at 8 and leave at half 5.
Yeah, okay.
So I used to work in Asda, like I said a few times before when I was training. I had shift 6 a.m. till 12 or till 2 p.m.
Yeah.
I always preferred that because
you got a bit of day.
you can get up. Do you know what I mean? There's something about getting up in the morning. You can force yourself up.
Yeah.
And I loved that time in the evening to just do whatever I wanted. Whereas the other way around, it always felt like you're waiting for your day to start.
Yeah.
And then you get home and it's bedtime.
I don't know about you, but I quite often leave marking. I'm just including marking in this admin time. I quite often, rather than traditionally doing it at the end of the day, ready for the next day, I quite often leave it till the morning, get in a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Or just, I'll make sure I'll just not do it ever. Just make sure I've got that time and I'll do it in the morning. And I find I mark quicker. Yeah. When I'm not, obviously, when I'm not completely exhausted at the end of the day, when you do a full job.
Yeah, it's like when you do PDM after school. It's like, who's listening?
Yeah, I know. I don't have the energy to do training after a day.
I think the last thing to say on that is I flip it and I think, I've realised this is what I do within this 10 seconds. I think to myself, when do I prefer my free time? So I prefer my free time to be in the evening rather than in the morning.
Sure.
So then I shift work around it. There's no time I prefer to do work, but there is definitely a time I prefer to be like at home with a family.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
So I prefer that in the evening. Therefore, I like working earlier because it frees that time.
No, fair enough. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that game.
That was good.
It was nice to hear your thoughts. I feel like you gave lots of good reflections on good practice and things as well.
Oh, what can I say? You've not spoken much. So what going to happen now is at the end, we're going to play the jingle very quickly and I'm going to do a quick fire Q&A.
5-minute
Listener Q&A. You're going to give your answers quickly, Hayden, because I've spoken for about 40 minutes. You're going to get 5 minutes at the end.
That's fair.
I think that's a good balance. Okay, here we go, Hayden. I'm going to mention the username of the people who did this. So if you hear your question, message us. Let us know what you think of Hayden's reply. First one from, who's this person? Missy B? Sophie Bartlett?
Never heard of her.
Don't know who she is. Which subject would you, A, completely remove from the curriculum? B, keep but change the content, just twitch it a bit. C, add to the curriculum.
So I've got to answer 3 things there.
So what would you get rid of on the curriculum right now?
Oh, I think you know what's coming. Modern foreign languages. I'm sorry, Kate Languages.
Kate.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Isn't it weird? I can never just say Kate. It's always Kate Languages.
Kate Languages, that's her full name.
B, keep but change the content. I think this could be a lot. God, is there something you really think, oh gosh, this is great, but we got to do this differently? I can think of one.
Oh,
nothing comes to your mind straight away.
It does. I'm just torn between. I think history.
Oh,
yeah.
What would you change?
Yeah. I think I would just pick more interesting things.
Oh,
I feel
really?
like I don't know. Maybe it's just our school. Maybe it's other schools.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just focus on the wrong thing. We focus on the chronology of history topic. I just want to. Do you know what? Pick the juiciest ones that the kids love and have like dress up days about them.
I love that.
I'd change that.
That's a great answer. That's like what you're actually doing. That's like the intricate parts.
Yeah, like I'd make it actually fun. But just quick one. I want to know what you pick because you obviously were surprised. What would you pick?
Oh, writing. Writing immediately. English writing, but like we completely from the ground up transform why we write, what we do with writing.
I wasn't thinking of that avenue, but I agree with that as well.
Just like that would be something immediate because we do it so often, and I think it's so broken and pointless.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
fair enough. And
what
was the third
add to the curriculum. Just think like we don't do it at all in school. Like I'd love to teach the kids.
Honestly, drama.
That's good.
I just don't think it's
as a standalone.
Yeah, like actually make it important. Actually, like we do DT, we do art. No, drama. No, we never do drama.
That's brilliant.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, brilliant. This was I loved this one. This is from Beth. She's a long time listener. The Slowish Diaries. Hello, Beth. Thank you for your question and thank you for your feedback. I love getting messages from people, and I love listening to your feedback every time. What has been your favourite topic you've taught this calendar year?
Ooh.
So in 2024. It covers pretty much all of year 6 curriculum in that case. I suppose. What's been your favourite? Oh, I love teaching that topic to the children.
I think it's a bit. You're not going to be like, oh,
go on, that's fine.
World War II.
Yeah,
World War II.
It's great. It's good.
I know. I literally just said we should revamp history, but it's because I'm thinking that's like the only topic where I'm like, oh, I love teaching this one. The rest I'm always a bit like, yeah.
They always seem so engaged, don't they?
So engaged.
And I don't know about you, but really respectful and thoughtful.
Yeah.
And it's we're getting further and further away from World War II, and there's always that worry like it will become a distant memory that we don't think was real anymore.
Yeah.
But the kids always seem to approach it with quite maturity.
I think what I love about it as well is one, you can get some really good art out of it. We always do some really lovely art. Like we do like that classic one with like the spotlights going into the sky and the blitz. You do such cool things with that, and the trips. Honestly, anywhere in England, there's going to be somewhere that's just got something to do with World War II. You can go there, some old airfield or something.
Absolutely.
Ramsgate tunnels around us.
So true.
Great.
So true. Okay, cool. Next one. This is the one I alluded to earlier. This is from Joe BGL. Has anyone from your school, deputy head, assistant head, SLT, ever complained about your podcast?
Oh,
I saw it. I was like, oh.
I don't think so.
Not that we know of.
Not that we know of. Certainly not to my face. Maybe behind my back.
Do you think they have? Do you think they have? I'm thinking. Do you know what? We've got a good relationship with pretty much everyone. We can talk. I can talk to anyone in our school, but I do think there's probably some things that people might think. Oh, can you say that? Or
yeah, I reckon. Okay. I'm changing your question. Sorry, because the answer is no. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But do I think we've done episodes that are a bit on the line and maybe probably shouldn't be done, and SLT could be unhappy with? Yes, I think so. I think there have been a few episodes where I'm like, we're a little bit close to the line here. But yeah.
Okay, this one's from Lizzie. Not a question, but just wanted to say, keep up the great work. I love your pod and your friendship.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get that in there.
Friendship, big word, but
friendship. I don't know if I'd say friendship. I would say
like a bromance. Sorry, I went higher. You went lower. That's awkward.
Do you know what I say to people when they ask me what's your relationship with Hayden? I say I know him.
That's funny because I say I know of him. So
that's such a powerful word, isn't it? I know of him.
Yeah.
Never spoken to him in my life. Don't know who you are. Okay. Could you imagine teaching in a secondary school or abroad?
Secondary school, absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. There's just no chance I'd ever do that. And if I do, like, I'm a whole new person. That's just so beyond me. No way. Abroad, honestly, I kind of wish I did it. Yeah. Like it's one of my regrets. Yeah. Because I did apply in my second year of teaching. I really, really tried to go.
You just didn't have enough experience at one point. You looked into it and you're like, most of them need 2 years experience, and you just weren't quite there.
No, I got quite far in the application process. Did you? I applied to go work in the Emirates.
Mate, I wish you did.
Can you imagine? You'd be sat around, no business, no podcast, probably just a bum. You'd be doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. Quit teaching 1 year after I leave. No, I went to apply and I got quite far in the application process.
And then you went on Zoom and they were like, God.
Yeah, and I did the whole Zoom lot. And do you know what? I got denied at the last stage because my undergraduate degree, because I did PGCE.
I remember this.
They didn't value it at all. They said your undergraduate isn't in a subject that that you teach in primary school. Right. They said if you did it in geography or history or maths or English.
Is this why you wanted drama to be on the curriculum?
Yeah.
I wanted to be the bloody Emirates. I wanted to be
media. That's what I'm saying. But at this point, the mental thing was I just finished my master's in education, and they were like, that doesn't matter. What matters is what your undergrad was in, because it's not in a subject you teach. And I was like, can it not be overridden by the master's net? I know how to teach really well.
Yeah. And the fact you've taught for 2 years.
Taught for 2 years. I know how to teach. I got a PGC and a master's. And no. So,
do you know what I think was happening? They're being polite. They were looking for a way out.
Yeah, probably.
What was his undergraduate?
Is it?
God, what did he do his GCSEs in? Find out. Find something he did. That was pointless, please.
Yeah, literally. No, so yes, I would love to teach abroad. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. 2 quick questions left. This is a really quick one. Very serious. AG Easton. What's the best way of redistributing hair from one person to another?
Well, actually, I've got a very cunning plan for this. So, Dylan, could you you see that razor behind you? Could you just grab that for me?
Get some PVA glue. It dries clear. I don't know, all primary school teachers know that. It dries clear. Whack it on the top. Bob's your uncle. Yeah, last question from Hale.4. How can you tell? I want you to try and be really concise here.
Okay, I'll try.
Try and give me bullet points to finish off. How can you tell if the school you're applying to is toxic? Are there any ways to check teacher retention? Any red flags that pop up? How can you tell at that point, oh gosh, I wouldn't actually want to work here? What are you looking for?
How many ECTs there are? If there's a huge proportion of ECTs, I think that's a red flag, seriously. Staff turnover, if you've got any way to find out how many staff quit per year, roughly, on average, if it's often or not.
How would you do that? Would you go on the website, just ask teachers maybe?
If you get a chance to ask anyone there and just say, oh, well, what's your staff turnover like? Red flag. If it's quite high, red flag. Honestly, just the attitude. Listen really carefully to the people walking you around. If it's their teacher, just observe how they talk to other staff, how they go in the room. If they walk into a room and don't even acknowledge the teacher, just walk in, expect them just to ignore you. That's just the way they interact with people. Could give you a red flag. Attendance of kids, if you have any idea whether they're going to school or not. If they hate being in that school, I don't know. There's a few things.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think of schools before where I've spoken about this. The children get the most unbelievably good deal ever. An an unbelievable experience in school. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But the staff are treated awfully, and like the retention's awful, and there's a turnover and stuff. So there's sometimes a bit of a chasm between those two things. It's hard to always draw a line. But yeah, no, in general, exactly that. Toxic school, it's hard to find, and a lot of people say something about a gut instinct. And it sounds a bit lame because, you know, we're here we try and get to the root of stuff and talk about it.
It is though, isn't it?
But sometimes it is a gut instinct. And, you know, when you walked in and you saw the office staff, like do you know what you can do walking around a school? You can just get vibes from teachers.
Yeah, get their reactions.
Honestly, just see how they react. Like you said, when the head teacher walks in, what they do.
Yeah,
look at what the teacher does as well. Like, is the teacher recoiling or, you know, sat up straight?
Do they get louder? I feel that's a thing. When teachers are nervous about something in the room, they get louder. Yeah. They're louder. They're making a point. I've got to be really statement. Yeah. You can just, there's little vibes you can get.
But definitely. Get as much insider information as possible is what I'd say. If it's a local school, the chances are you've got some kind of link to people around. If you're earlier on in your career, that's harder. I understand that. But you know what? If you're earlier on in your career, you can just go into a school, and if it is toxic, you can just leave quite quickly. Yeah. I left my first school after 2 years. I'm doing absolutely fine. So yeah, you can't always get it, and there are ways out, but there is that gut instinct. There's stuff to look for.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, thank you for your questions. Sorry we didn't get through all of them. We'll do it again in the future, but we appreciate you guys, the listeners. Oh my gosh. I can't really say anything other than what we always say.
No, I appreciate you more probably than Dylan, if anything, really.
But no, I love it. I love talking to you guys. I love hearing teacher stories. I love hearing, honestly, just when you're just being nice. It's really lovely. I appreciate it.
I think it's time, Dylan, to say.
Oh, yeah.
We're in unison.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Good Christmas time.
Everyone, all of the...
And have a good time.
Have a happy new year.
Bye.
Oh.